Hi, class. It is Professor Schneiderman. Good work on your prosodic analyses. Those are going really well. A couple of people haven't turned them in, and I want to remind you that one, I do have office hours. If you would like to have help, you can come see me. You can also email me, and I strongly encourage you to use the Writing Center, especially if you are not sure where to start. If you're looking at the paper assignment and the poem and you're like, I don't know what to do, the Writing Center will help you. They will help you do that first step, and then you can keep working with them as you go through the steps. Writing is a process. It does not happen once, and it takes a lot longer than anyone ever wants it to, and I say that as someone who's written a number of books. So, for Recitative by Toni Morrison, I really enjoyed your responses. And basically, I asked you the 5 questions, right? Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? How should the good guys be rewarded? How should the bad guys be punished? And what would you do if you're in that situation? Twyla showed up as the good guy in most of your responses. Roberta showed up as the bad guy in most of your responses. In terms of what you would do in that situation, most of you chose the bullying and said you would try not to bully people. You didn't say what you would do if you were in a car that a whole bunch of other people were attacking. But again, these 5 questions are really K through 12 questions, right? These are foundational reading questions, but they're also questions that you start using when you're a kid, and they start being useless around now. The point of literary analysis in college is that you're reaching a point where these kinds of simple answers won't work anymore. And so instead of thinking about whether Twyla's good and Roberta is bad, and I hope you know not to bully people at this point. You should know. If you don't know, don't bully people, but you should know this before you come to college. But what I want to call your attention to next is something that I do think is happening at the college level. And that is that one of the craft elements that Toni Morrison is using in this story, Recitative, is literary ambiguity. Now, ambiguity just means anytime we don't know which of 1 or 2 or 3 options. So if your cousin says to you, hey, do you want to go to McDonald's or Wendy's? And you say yes, your cousin is confused. Your answer was ambiguous. You meant either McDonald's or Wendy's, but he doesn't know which. In real life, we try not to have ambiguities in our communication. If someone says, do you want to meet at my place or your place? And you say yes, that ambiguity means you might go to the wrong place. You want to resolve that ambiguity. So when someone says yes, you say, well, which did you mean? McDonald's or Wendy's? And the person will say, oh, Wendy's. Which did you mean, my place or your place? And hopefully the person will say your place or my place. But the idea is that there's one or the other, and in real life, we want to know which. But what makes literature literature is that you can do some things that you can't do in real life. And so a literary ambiguity is when something has more than one possibility, but it won't resolve. In real life, it can't happen. But in literature, we don't know. So in this particular case, in Recitative, we are told that one of the characters, Twyla and Roberta, one of these main characters is white, and one of these main characters is black, and we do not know which is which. And anytime we think that we figured out, oh yeah, definitely, she must be the white one. Nope. There is further evidence that might change your mind. And Morrison has structured this story very, very carefully so that you do not know whether Roberta is white and Twyla is black, or Twyla is white and Roberta is black. And it matters very much in the story. So I am going to ask you the question, what is Morrison trying to achieve through this literary craft element, right? If Morrison is using this craft element of ambiguity to create an experience for us as readers in which we are not sure which character is white and which character is black, even though we are sure that one is white and one is black. What is the effect? And you'll recall from your prosody analysis that a literary effect, right, the effect that the piece has on you is what you feel or what you understand, right? So as you're reading the story, and please do reread the story. I'm not giving you a lot of reading this week, just so you have time to go back through the story. And you can look online and ask, like Schmoop and all these places, what it means. I'd prefer that you not, just because they tell you dumb things. They're not very helpful. They're just sort of like, Morrison is saying that race doesn't matter. And it's like, no, that is not what she's saying at all. But I would love to hear what you think. I would love to hear what you think before you start going, off on the internet. And we will talk about how to do research, but for this, I really just want your response to the paper. Of course, if you have already done research, that's totally fine, but bring it in. I'm not going to give you a full paper assignment, but I am going to give you a quiz, and I'm hoping that will lead to the next paper. The next thing is I would like you to read just Act 1 of Twelfth Night, which is a Shakespeare play. You can get this for free from the Folger Library online, or you can download the ebook version of it, or you can buy the paper copybook of it. Because Shakespeare is out of copyright, it's very easy to get copies. I'm really fond of this one. I find it very manageable. It tells you on the right what things mean. People often like to use a version called No Fear Shakespeare. If you do use No Fear, the advantage of No Fear Shakespeare is that it translates everything they're saying into contemporary English. However, they won't translate anything sexual, so all the dirty jokes you will completely miss. And because it's for high school students. And it's not a substitute for reading the original. That if you're reading the contemporary language to understand what they're saying, that's great. But make sure that you do pay attention to the poetry of the original Shakespeare. The other piece is, if you have a hard time following Shakespeare, better than No Fear, I actually think, is to watch a version of Twelfth Night. There is a version of Twelfth Night that is available in a database called Canopy that you have access to as a BMCC student. I find it a little boring. It's from the 1980s. It is a British production. I find it a little dull, but you will certainly understand what's going on if you read it. My favorite movie version is from 1996. And you can find that in Amazon, but I do think it costs money. I don't think I can give that to you for free as much as I would like to. Maybe I'll schedule a screening and we can watch it together on Zoom or something. Even though this is asynchronous, you never have to come to anything. We always do this on our own times. And so as we start reading Twelfth Night, we will be thinking about gender in particular, and how gender is being represented in this. If you grew up watching She's the Man with Amanda Bynes, that is a version of Twelfth Night. And right now, there is an amazing production. The Harlem Classical Stage Company is doing a brilliant Twelfth Night at the Skirball Center, which is part of NYU. It was free if you saw it in Harlem last summer, and it was amazing. But if you do want to see it at Skirball, it does cost money, so I apologize. I love Twelfth Night on stage. I've seen it 12 times. I'm hoping for a 13th soon. But anyway, just read the first act, and that's fine. So if you haven't turned in your first paper, come to my office hours or work with the Writing Center. Turn in your quiz, in which you talk about the literary effect of Toni Morrison's recitative, the literary effect of Morrison's use of literary ambiguity in recitative, and read the first act of Twelfth Night, and I will see you back here next week.